The following is a presentation of historical facts drawn from open sources, including academic records, government archives, and established historical documentation. This video does not represent any political opinion or support any government, group, or ideology. Viewers are encouraged to research further and form their own conclusions. In our last video, we explored how the British drew the lines that divided India and Pakistan. That story set the stage for what we are about to discuss today. On October 22nd, 1947, exactly 74 days after Pakistan's independence, tribal fighters crossed into Kashmir. Within hours, they reached the outskirts of Srinagar, the summer capital. According to historical records, this single invasion triggered a chain of events that would lead to 3 full wars between India and Pakistan. The first war lasted 14 months. The second, 17 days. The third brought 2 nuclear powers to the brink of total war, all over one valley in the Himalayas. Why did Kashmir become the most contested piece of land in South Asia? And how did a delay of just 2 months change the fate of millions? To understand Kashmir, we must first understand what Britain left behind in August 1947. When Lord Mountbatten announced partition, he divided British India into 2 nations. But British India was not just British territory. It included 565 princely states, each ruled by a Maharaj, Nawab, or other local ruler, each given the same choice by the British: join India, join Pakistan, or remain independent. Kashmir was the largest and most strategic of these states. Maharaja Hari Singh ruled over 4 million people spread across 84,000 square miles of mountains, valleys, and glaciers. According to the 1941 census, 77% of his subjects were Muslim. He was Hindu. His capital, Srinagar, sat in a valley surrounded by some of the world's highest peaks. 3 rivers flowed from Kashmir into Pakistan. The region controlled the headwaters that fed Punjab's agricultural heartland. Historians note that Maharaja Hari Singh faced an impossible choice. If he joined Pakistan, he would be the only Hindu ruler in an Islamic state. If he joined India, he would rule a Muslim majority as part of a Hindu majority nation. Independence seemed attractive, but landlocked between 2 hostile neighbors, survival would be precarious. By August 15, 1947, most other princely states had chosen. The Maharaja had not. He signed standstill agreements with both India and Pakistan, maintaining existing trade and communication arrangements. He believed he could buy time. According to documented accounts, Pakistan's founder, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, told him privately, "You have no choice. Geography and your people's religion decide for you." The Maharaja did not respond. October 1947 brought the crisis to Kashmir's doorstep. According to Pakistani government records, tribal leaders in the northwest frontier province grew impatient with the Maharaja's delay. They began organizing what they called a liberation movement for Kashmir's Muslims. On October 3rd, Pakistani officials documented meetings between tribal leaders and government representatives in Peshawar. The official position, as recorded in parliamentary debates, was that Pakistan could not stop tribal volunteers from crossing into Kashmir. On October 20th, approximately 5,000 Pathan tribesmen, armed with modern weapons, crossed the border at Muzaffarabad. British officers who witnessed the invasion noted that the raiders moved in organized columns, not random groups. They carried Pakistani rupees and flew Pakistani flags. Within 24 hours, they controlled the town of Baramulla, just 50 kilometers from Srinagar. Telegraph lines to the outside world went dead. Maharaja Hari Singh faced immediate collapse. His small state army, numbering fewer than 9,000 men, could not stop the advance. On October 24th, he sent an urgent telegraph to New Delhi asking for military assistance. Lord Mountbatten, still Governor-General of India, replied with a condition documented in official correspondence. India could only help if Kashmir formally acceded to India first. The Maharaja had run out of time and options. On October 26, 1947, he signed the Instrument of Accession, making Kashmir legally part of India. The same day, the first Indian troops landed at Srinagar Airport. The First Kashmir War begun. The First Kashmir War lasted from October 1947 to January 1949. Indian forces, initially just one battalion of Sikh regiment soldiers, pushed back the tribal raiders from Srinagar's outskirts. But Pakistan's regular army soon joined the fighting. And by December 1947, Pakistani forces controlled roughly one-third of Kashmir, including the strategic town of Mirpur and the Gilgit-Baltistan region. Prime Minister Nehru took the dispute to the United Nations on January 1, 1948. India's complaint accused Pakistan of supporting the tribal invasion. And Pakistan counter-complained that India had illegally occupied Kashmir against the will of its Muslim population. The UN Security Council passed Resolution 47 on April 21, 1948, calling for a plebiscite to determine Kashmir's future. The resolution required Pakistan to withdraw all forces first, then India to reduce its military presence to minimum levels. Neither side complied. Fighting continued through 1948, with neither side achieving decisive victory. The war's human cost, according to documented refugee statistics, included over 200,000 people displaced from their homes. Villages changed hands multiple times. The conflict drew in local populations who found themselves caught between competing armies. By late 1948, both sides faced economic strain from the prolonged fighting. On January 1, 1949, a UN-mediated ceasefire took effect. The ceasefire line, drawn where armies stood on that date, divided Kashmir roughly in half. Pakistan controlled about 37% of the territory, including Azad Kashmir and Gilgit-Baltistan. India controlled the rest, including the Vale of Kashmir with its capital Srinagar. Neither side got what it wanted. The temporary line became permanent. No plebiscite was ever held. The 1049 ceasefire created two Kashmirs, but solved nothing. Pakistan renamed its portion Azad Kashmir, Free Kashmir Total. India integrated its portion as the state of Jammu and Kashmir under Article 370 of its new constitution, granting it special autonomous status. Both sides claimed the entire region as rightfully theirs. The human consequences were immediate and lasting. Families found themselves separated by the ceasefire line. Trade routes that had connected the region for centuries were severed. The Jhelum River, which had carried goods and people between Srinagar and Pakistani Punjab, became a military border. According to Refugee Commission reports, over 500,000 people had been displaced during the conflict, most permanently. The military consequences reshaped both nations' priorities. India began developing what military historians call a two-front defense doctrine, preparing for potential conflicts with both Pakistan and China simultaneously. Pakistan, with a smaller economy and population, focused increasingly on military parity with India, spending proportionally more on defense than most nations. International involvement also became permanent. The United Nations established the UN Military Observer Group in India and Pakistan in January 1949, making Kashmir one of the world's longest-running peacekeeping missions. The observers documented ceasefire violations, but had no power to enforce compliance. By 1950, both governments had made Kashmir central to their national identity. Pakistani school textbooks described Kashmir as the unfinished business of partition. Indian leaders called it an integral part of India. Neither side could politically afford to compromise without appearing weak. Still, and so without appearing weak. The stage was set for future conflict. The Kashmir dispute shaped the next 50 years of South Asian history. The Second Kashmir War erupted in 1965, when Pakistani forces infiltrated across the ceasefire line in Operation Gibraltar, hoping to trigger a general uprising. The plan failed, and the conflict expanded beyond Kashmir to the Punjab plains. After 17 days of fighting, both armies returned to pre-war positions. The Third War came in 1999 at Kargil, high in the Himalayas. Pakistani forces occupied Indian positions during the winter, when Indian troops had withdrawn to lower altitude. The Kargil conflict lasted 10 weeks and marked a dangerous escalation. Both nations had tested nuclear weapons just 1 year earlier. For the first time, two nuclear powers fought a limited war. The military burden transformed both nations. According to World Bank data, between 1960 and 2000, India and Pakistan spent an average of 3.5% and 6.2% of their GDP respectively on defense, among the highest rates globally. The Kashmir dispute justified massive military expenditures that diverted resources from education, healthcare, and economic development. The human cost extended far beyond the battlefield. 3 generations of Kashmiris lived under military occupation. But both Indian and Pakistani portions of Kashmir maintained large security presences. According to various human rights organizations, the conflict has affected nearly every family in the region through displacement, economic disruption, or direct violence. The strategic implications rippled across Asia. China, which had its own border disputes with India, formed closer ties with Pakistan. The United States, initially neutral, gradually aligned with Pakistan during the Cold War, then shifted toward India after 2001. Kashmir became a factor in global geopolitics, not just a regional dispute. The Kashmir conflict illustrates how colonial legacies can create permanent tensions between new nations. When Britain granted independence to India and Pakistan in 1947, it left 565 princely states to choose their own future. Most chose quickly. In June, Kashmir's delay of just 2 months triggered a conflict that has lasted over 70 years. The dispute reveals the complexity of drawing borders based on religion while governing diverse populations. Kashmir's Muslim majority, under Hindu royal rule, embodied the contradictions of partition. Neither the religious logic that created Pakistan nor the secular nationalism that founded India provided a clear answer for Kashmir's future. Historical records show how local conflicts can become global issues. What began as a dispute over one princely state's accession evolved into a proxy conflict during the Cold War, then a nuclear flashpoint that commanded international attention. The strategic importance of Kashmir's geography, its rivers, mountain passes, and borders with China, ensured that great powers would remain interested. The human dimension remains the most profound. Millions of people found their lives shaped by decisions made in distant capitals by leaders they never elected. The ceasefire line that was meant to be temporary became one of the world's most militarized borders. 3 generations have lived with the consequences of choices made in 1947. History does not offer simple answers, but understanding where we came from helps us understand where we are. Share your thoughts in the comments. What do you think this history teaches us today? And in our next video, we continue this story with how Pakistan became 2 countries in 1971, and the story continues.